There's a video that went viral a few years back. A dog named Capitan in Argentina, whose owner died in 2006. The family buried him, and the next day, Capitan was gone. They searched everywhere, couldn't find him. A week later, someone called from the cemetery. Capitan was there, sitting on the grave. He'd never been to that cemetery in his life. Nobody knows how he found it, and for the next 11 years, until Capitan died himself, he slept on that grave every single night. Now, most scientists will tell you dogs don't feel love. They form attachments. They recognize faces. They respond to positive reinforcement. What looks like love is really just a series of learned behaviors optimized for food and safety. That's the official line. But Capitan didn't get food from that grave. He didn't get safety. He got nothing. He just kept coming back. So the question isn't really whether animals are capable of love. The question is whether we've been asking it wrong. Here's what we actually know. Oxytocin is the molecule most closely associated with love and bonding in humans. When a mother holds her newborn, oxytocin floods her brain. When two people fall in love, it's oxytocin. When you feel connected to someone deeply enough that losing them feels like losing part of yourself, that's oxytocin doing a lot of the work. And it turns out every mammal on Earth has it. The same one. When a mother elephant touches her calf, oxytocin levels spike in both of them. When rats play together, oxytocin rises. Prairie voles, tiny, unremarkable rodents, mate for life. Block their oxytocin receptors in the lab and they stop bonding entirely. Restore them and the pair bond comes back. You can chemically toggle their attachment on and off like a light switch, and it goes further than mammals. In 2016, researchers at Emory University studied fish, and found oxytocin-like compounds influencing their social behavior too. The molecule is so ancient, so fundamental that evolution kept it across hundreds of millions of years of branching life. Whatever it's doing something important. Whatever love is at its biological core, we share the machinery for it with thousands of other species. Elephants are the hardest to dismiss. When an elephant dies, the herd doesn't just move on. They gather. They go quiet. They touch the body with their trunks, gently, for hours. Sometimes they cover it with branches and dirt. Researchers have documented herds returning to the bones of a dead member months later, sometimes years later, standing over them in what looks, by every external measure, like grief. Cynthia Moss spent over 40 years studying elephants in Amboseli National Park in Kenya. She watched a mother named Tony carry the body of her dead calf for 4 days, walking slowly, setting it down, picking it back up, refusing to leave it behind. She watched another elephant, Echo, mourn the death of her daughter for weeks, losing weight, falling behind the herd, returning again and again to the place where she died. There's also the case of Lawrence Anthony, a conservationist who spent years rehabilitating a herd of traumatized wild elephants at his South Africa reserve. He worked with them, lived near them, and by all accounts they trusted him. When he died suddenly in 2012, 2 separate herds walked for 12 hours through the bush to reach his house. They stood outside for 2 days. Then they left. His family had no explanation for how the elephants knew. They just came. You can call that instinct. You can say we're projecting. But at some point, the explanation requires more effort than what you're actually watching. Then there's what birds do. Albatrosses mate for life. They travel thousands of miles of open ocean separately for months or years and then find each other again. When they reunite after a long separation, they perform a greeting ritual they haven't done since they were young. A specific sequence of calls and movements, unique to each pair, that they developed together when they first bonded. They remember it. They come back to it. Like a couple that still has their song. Gibbons sing duets. Every morning, a mated pair of gibbons climbs to the top of the canopy and sings together for up to an hour. The male's part and the female's part interlock perfectly. Scientists believe these duets serve to reinforce the pair bond and declare their territory. But here's the thing. The songs are complex. They take years to develop. Young gibbons spend years learning to harmonize with a partner before they're any good at it. You don't spend years learning someone else's voice if you're just filling an evolutionary checkbox. And then there are ravens. Ravens form long-term social bonds that researchers describe as friendships. They console each other after conflicts. They hold grudges. They show what looks unmistakably like loyalty, defending allies even when there's nothing in it for them, sitting with distressed companions, seeking out specific individuals after time apart. A raven will choose to spend time with a raven it likes when it has no reason to. That's a choice. It's a preference. And it persists. Here's where it gets complicated. There's a species of fish, the cichlid, that forms pair bonds and co-parents its young. The male and female take turns guarding eggs, take turns feeding the babies, coordinate who rests and who watches. When researchers separated bonded pairs, the fish showed increased stress hormones and erratic behavior. When reunited, they settled, calmed down, resumed their routines. Now, a fish is a very long way from a human. The cichlid's brain is about the size of a grain of rice. Whatever is happening inside it is not poetry, but it is preference. It is choosing one specific individual over others and behaving differently when that individual is gone. What's the line between that and love? The honest answer from neuroscience right now is that nobody knows. We can't ask animals what they feel. We can only measure behavior and brain chemistry, and both of those look, in dozens of species, remarkably like what we'd call love. But there's a real philosophical problem here. We've built our entire understanding of love around the human experience of it. The longing, the joy, the devastation of loss. We assume other species don't have access to that because they can't tell us they do. But consider what we'd conclude about humans if we could only study behavior and brain chemistry and nothing else. We'd see attachment, bonding hormones, pair formation, separation distress, reunion behaviors. We'd measure everything love does, and we'd still have no way to prove that it feels like anything from the inside. The problem of other minds is hard enough between two humans. Between a human and a crow, it might be unsolvable. Crows remember faces. If you do something cruel to a crow, it will remember your face for years and recruit other crows to harass you. But the reverse is also true. If you are kind to a crow, if you feed it regularly, if you treat it well, some crows will bring you things. Small objects. Bottle caps, buttons, pieces of glass. Scientists have documented this. The crows aren't trained to do it. Nobody rewards them for it. They just bring things to the people who were kind to them. There's a word for voluntarily giving someone something just because you want to. We use it a lot. And it's not just crows. Dolphins have been documented supporting sick or injured companions for days, swimming beside them, helping them reach the surface to breathe, staying close even when there's no obvious benefit. Chimpanzees adopt orphaned young, not just their own relatives, unrelated infants. Sometimes the adopting chimp is a young male with no parenting experience and no genetic stake in the baby's survival. He just takes it in, carries it, protects it. We have no clean evolutionary explanation for why. Maybe the question was never whether animals love. Maybe the question is what love actually is. If love is just a neurochemical process optimized by evolution to encourage bonding and cooperation, then yes, animals love. The chemistry is the same. The behavior is the same. The outcomes are the same. If love is something more than that, something ineffable that only humans can access, then we have no way to prove it either way, in animals or in ourselves. What we do know is this. A dog crossed a city it had never been to and spent 11 years sleeping on a grave. An elephant mother carried her dead calf for 4 days before she could let go. 2 herds of wild elephants walked through the night to stand outside the home of a man who had been kind to them. An albatross flew thousands of miles of open ocean and then performed the same greeting ritual it learned with one specific bird years before. Call it whatever you want. We've been watching it for thousands of years. We still don't have a word big enough for what we're seeing.